Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche Podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use code DNVR when you sign up for a new account to get amazing odds boosts every single day. Our original plan for this show was to talk about all the playoff series that are going on besides the Avalanche, and we'll probably still do some of that. We'll get there. But, 15 minutes before we go live, we get the news that Cale Makar is suspended for one game for his hit on Jared McCann, and we're going to talk about that. AJ, Rudo, Megan, I think we started off and made our feelings about it pretty clear last night in our post game, where we felt like the 2-minute minor was justified and that was the correct call. We now have this one game suspension to talk about, and no matter which way you shake it, the NHL got something wrong here. Whether you believe Cale Makar should be suspended or not, either they got it wrong in the moment when the refs decided to take it from a major down to a minor, or it should have been a minor and there's no reason for this suspension. So something is amiss one way or another here. But I'm curious where you two stand on the suspension. Justified or not?
I really don't want to kick it off. I want AJ to talk first.
AJ, justified or not?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to say no.
I agree.
Obviously on last night's show, I was as wrong as I could be about anything ever. I was super confident. There's just no way. I live on planet Earth, where people make sound and reasonable decisions, where they look at the video and they break down things like, headshots and history and, all these different things come into play. And I wake up today and they throw all of that out and they said, Jared McCann is hurt, therefore he is suspended. And that was the end of the conversation. That was the video.
Yep.
They said he's not eligible to be hit.
Which is the definition of interference.
And the first thing that comes to my mind was Austin Matthews eligible to be punched in the face by Steven Stamkos while he was just skating around gathering up sticks the other day? And Steven Stamkos just decided to jump him after a scrum had calmed down. Yeah. Was he eligible to be punched? Was he eligible to be dragged into a fight he had no interest in? But no, it was all good, right? That phrase is going to be like the death of me. The
eligibility.
Yeah, well, the he's not eligible to be hit. He's not whatever. Like, and for me, I guess one of the keys here is that the whistle doesn't blow.
Yep.
He doesn't know where the puck is. You see him in the video. He's looking up the wall, and then he looks back at McCann. He sees McCann going into the corner. He's watching McCann. He never looks up.
Yep.
He thinks the puck is coming down because the whistle hasn't blown. And the fact that none of this gets taken into consideration, that the only thing that they look at is Jared McCann got hurt.
Yep.
And that is the end of the conversation.
It's tough for me too, because it's not just that Jared McCann got hurt leading to this. It is the entire process of this. I already mentioned the major to a minor conversation, but it's actually worse than that. There was no penalty on this play initially.
Right.
There was no call until the refs got together after the fact because Jared McCann was hurt. And then they gave a major, and then they reduced it to a minor. So if Jared McCann was fine, got up, and skated to the bench after this play, no one would even be talking about it.
And we could have had the conversation of they missed an interference call.
Definitely. But it would not be there wouldn't even be a blip on the radar as far as the NHL consciousness of a conversation about suspensions if Jared McCann was fine. It is entirely a conversation based around someone getting hurt on a play. And we've been long advocates of you cannot punish the result of plays. It needs to be what actually happened.
Yeah,
on
it
the
needs to be what the guys did.
I'm really scared.
Why?
I think it's justified.
Then
pop off then.
Yeah. You're free to feel this way.
I actually go back to the Jeff Carter hit on Makar earlier this season, and this is going to become something I reference as to why my biggest issue is this being consistently applied throughout Department of Player Safety. Not only just, we don't need to look too into the rear view with the Carter hit. But it starts there for me because my feelings around the Carter hit were, I don't think his intent is malicious there, but he needs to have more ownership of his body in that situation. We obviously see that it's dangerous. We know the outcome becomes so dangerous that Makar enters concussion protocols, but that wasn't even why we were so upset by the Carter hit. It was because he didn't take accountability for the dangerous place in the ice that he was, where he should expect that there are going to be players in front of that net, traffic in front of the net, and he just didn't, and there was no issue with it in the eyes of Department of Player Safety. I felt that was wrong at the time, and I still feel it's wrong. The circumstances with Makar and McCann here are different completely, but it is another situation wherein I believe that Cale Makar's intent is also not malicious here at all. But I think he needs to take a little ownership of identifying where the puck is in that situation. I believe that there's confusion, that it's coming down and he believes it's about to be in front of McCann, which in that case would be a perfectly clean hit. But because he's not certain of the puck's location, that's where I think he makes the mistake. That's where I think the mental lapse is, that he has to take a little bit of ownership in not knowing where the puck is, whether he's heard a whistle or not. That is a player, by all accounts, might not have the puck, and that is textbook interference. And because of, that's where it becomes confusing, because of how McCann goes down. I think this, because the contact initially to me is shoulder to shoulder. I don't think that this is something that starts with any relation to the head. It just ends that way, in part because his head hits the glass and then again on the way down. I think that's why this became so serious for McCann, and it's hard for me to separate that for a moment. But it does come back to Makar needing to take ownership of tracking the puck where it actually is. Even if he's uncertain, then he has to lay back a little bit. So this is where, though, the matter of consistency is still a problem for me. The Morgan Riley Braden point is a great example of especially how the penalties were assessed following that, where Stamkos does then go after Matthews. That changes the shape of the game, that Tampa walks away from this situation pretty unscathed, and that this Morgan Riley hit wasn't then evaluated more closely, or the Dumba Pavelski hit wasn't evaluated more closely, because I think that was more predatory. I don't even think Makar's hit was predatory on McCann, but that was pretty textbook predatory Dumba on Pavelski, that it wasn't even looked at. Is frustrating that the Carter Makar hit from earlier this season wasn't even looked at, is unacceptable to me. If I'm going to advocate for this precedent to be set, that whether intentional or not, players need to take ownership of their body, then I need to apply a little bit of that here with Cale Makar and the judgment call that's made with the location of the puck and then the timing of the hit as a result.
Look, I think there's a perfectly justified argument that you can say he should have been suspended, but as you said, I think that argument from the NHL side falls apart because of the wild inconsistency that you've seen from them.
Darren Helm.
Yeah.
What is the story behind why Darren Helm's not in the lineup now? I don't know the hit that might have led to this, but it begs more question.
And we've seen the Avs. I mean, the Avs have battled as many injuries as anybody all year.
Yep.
Did all of them just magically get hurt? Were they the result of hits along the way? Were they, I guess my real frustration is the Dumba situation.
Me too.
Also happens. That is a play that you use the word predatory, which I think is the perfect word, because Dumba is not playing the puck. He's watching Joe Pavelski. His
plan there is to crush Joe Pavelski.
Yeah,
regardless
Pavelski
of
gets rid of the puck. He smokes him, and then we all agreed, it really sucked that Pavelski got hurt, because the Dumba hit isn't what causes the damage. It's the stick coming up, it hits him in the face.
Yeah.
It's the head hitting the ice when he goes down. And you're saying, okay, I'm cool with them not suspending Matt Dumba for a predatory hit that should have been a penalty, should have been a power play, should have been all these different things. But I didn't think it was suspendable. And I look at this situation, feel it is a less predatory act by Makar, because he doesn't know where, you're right. It's his responsibility to know where the puck is. He doesn't. He looks up the wall. He looks at McCann, who looks like...
He sees McCann looking like
who sees McCann looking up, does not hear a whistle, so he thinks the puck is coming down, because if there's a whistle, he knows that the puck is out of play and he doesn't have to do anything. There's no whistle there, so he's playing the situation that he thinks he's in. It's not the situation that he's in because there hasn't been a whistle. So he thinks he's playing the game.
Yep.
He's not trying to hurt Jared McCann. He only goes to hit him because he thinks that the puck is going to be a part of that conversation. Mm-hmm. So he thinks he's playing the game. He's just in a different situation than what he thinks he is. And I guess I just feel like the predatory part of this is where the Dumba hit is more predatory and the player gets hurt and nothing.
So
this is a less predatory play. The player also gets hurt, but this one is suspendable. And I would love to believe that they're just going to say if you hurt guys with illegal hits, you get suspended. We aren't going to magically live in that world anymore.
I could be convinced in a world where they said these hits are similar, we're going to suspend Makar, whatever. Maybe they talk themselves into Matt Dumba not getting suspended. Matt Dumba didn't even get a hearing for that.
Right.
There wasn't even a conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just don't understand how both of those worlds can exist. If you think Makar's hit is suspendable, you cannot possibly think that the Matt Dumba hit isn't. They're even if Dumba's is worse or you think Makar's is worse, both of them are similar enough that it cannot be that different between the two. And the other side of this argument that I would make is exactly the Jeff Carter thing. The one thing we've seen the NHL, at least outwardly, say they're trying to get rid of is headshots in the league, blindside hits, things like that. Makar does not hit Jared McCann in the head. And obviously it sucks that McCann's head goes off the glass and off the ice. It's terrible.
That's obviously awful.
But you've watched the Avs take headshots repeatedly over the last few years, whether it be the accidental one on Makar from Carter or Keegan Colasar on Bowen Byram a few years ago, or on and on and on and on. And you watch these guys get away with it half the time.
Yeah.
And now Cale Makar is getting punished for, yes, is it late? Absolutely. It's interference.
Dude,
I'm with you on that.
It's totally a penalty.
The actual execution of the hit, Makar does nothing wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's a heavy hit in a situation where he doesn't know where the puck is. And I think if you want to say that's where he went wrong, that's where he went wrong, is that he smokes him. If he just pins him, if he does pretty much anything else, other than just like drop this guy. And again, we're probably not in this conversation right now.
If you believe that that's a suspendable hit like Megan does, I think that's a totally justifiable opinion.
Yeah, I don't have any issue with them deciding this is a suspendable hit. The issue is that a week ago it wasn't.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so you're asking what changed.
Yep.
And that's where, to be honest with you, I'm angry.
Yeah.
Because this is a series-changing kind of thing. Mm-hmm. That's not to say Colorado can't win without him.
They definitely can.
Yeah. But this is... You watch most of the DOPS videos. Mm-hmm. And there's typically a, hey...
There's a
stepping
stone of like he's not eligible to be hit.
Yeah.
And Makar hits him high, and he leaves his feet. Whatever. There's like five things.
He wasn't eligible to be hit,
Yeah.
which is a phrase, which is a concept that I am going to obsess over every playoff game for the rest of this year. I'm going to be like, that guy wasn't eligible to be hit. That guy wasn't eligible to be hit. That guy wasn't eligible to be hit. But it comes down to he got hurt.
Yep.
That is the only thing. That is the only thing that I can square up and say this makes sense to me. Is they said he got hurt. Cale Makar hurt a guy when he wasn't eligible to be hit.
Yep.
A guy who shouldn't have been hit, was not bracing for contact. None of that. He got hurt. So we feel like we have to suspend him. And if you boil it down to that bottom line, I am completely okay with it. I will not be okay with it. Probably by the end of tonight.
Yeah.
When something else will happen in a different game. And it will not end up in and it will not end up in a conversation. It will not end up in a hearing. It will not end up in a suspension. And you will look at it and you will say, these are awfully similar. What's happening here?
Yep.
It's really upsetting. Even as we're talking about it out loud, more examples come to mind. Dumba not having his hit even looked at is shocking. But even the way in which these things aren't created equally, like in the regular season, the Hartman-Ehlers hit, interference, very much predatory, one game, is not created equal to what happened with Makar and McCann. But in the eyes of the suspension, apparently they are. To me, these are two very different situations that should, like in that case, Hartman should have taken more than a game. That seems so much more egregious to me. Especially
with the old playoff to regular season game conversion factor. You're telling me during the regular season this would have been a 2-game suspension? So what do you do for the it should be a 1-game suspension in the regular season? Isn't that where you go to a fine in the playoffs, knowing that playoff games are more valuable? I'm just kind of confused because by Dobbs' own admission, that is how they view playoff games. As twice as valuable as a regular season game. So they think this would have been a 2-game suspension in the regular season. That's crazy town to me.
Yeah, you're right. That is shocking. Then the side by side of these two.
Yeah.
Well, and like the list goes on. I don't want to rehash too
many
of
we
these.
We could just go through every Dobbs decision and be like, good call, bad call, good call,
it's
bad
not.
call.
It's the no decisions that they make as well. When you look at
no decisions that drive everybody crazy.
Sam Girard last year in the playoffs, and that was a hit that I think most of us came away from saying, yeah, that's not as suspendable. It's unfortunate that Sam Girard got hurt.
It was predatory.
Yep.
He left his feet, and he hit him high, and he broke his fucking sternum.
And
needlessly violent.
And that call, we were like, you know what? It probably should have been 2 minutes. At least you and I.
Yeah.
And to get that type of play and not even have a hearing about it, compared to Cale Makar getting an actual suspension, you're beyond the point of inconsistency right now. It genuinely feels like the Dopes is just making it up as they go on a case-by-case basis with no comparisons that you can make to any other play.
I guess the last part of this that I'll just say really frustrates me was that the suspension video that the league released makes no mention of the fact that the whistle hasn't blown.
Yep.
And that he's continuing to play for a reason. He doesn't go over there and hit the guy for fucking fun. He just does it. He's not like skating over there like, oh, I'm going to get this guy. There's no whistle. And when in the suspension video, that when they're breaking it down, the puck is saved and it goes out of play. He knows that because he knows where the puck ended up in. But when you consider the information in that moment, there's no whistle to let anybody on the ice know. Everybody else on the ice continued to play because there's no whistle.
Yep.
McCann's looking for the puck because he's not hearing it. Makar looks up the wall to see where everybody else on the ice is to say, okay, how should I engage in this situation? Because if there's help, if there's another guy there, maybe he doesn't go in and hit that guy. Maybe he's got, hey, I've got help. I can have a softer engage. He thinks he's by himself. He thinks that the puck is coming down because the referee has not blown it dead. And you look at this, and we need to go back and I need to just go back and double check and see who the refs were from last night's game, out of curiosity, because for me it starts with a massive amount of incompetence from the refs. If this is a suspendable hit in the eyes of the league, it should have been the major, and he should have been tossed right then and there.
Yep.
And then he would be back for game 5.
Yep. Because he would have served a suspension.
Exactly. He would have essentially. Yeah. We're talking. This thing is like what, 5-6 minutes into the first period, something like that. Like I think it's 10 minutes into the first. Yeah. 10 minutes into the first period. Essentially would have been It essentially would have been.
He'd have played 4 minutes in this game.
Yeah. Exactly. So I want to know. We talk about referee accountability a lot on our show, and the officials' accountability, and blah, blah, blah. I want to know if these guys work another game in the postseason, because you look at how they handle this situation. It's created by the ref doesn't know where the puck is. Yep. He doesn't blow the whistle dead. It ends up in this, and then, well, he's hurt. Something must have happened. He got a major.
Yep.
What? Okay, we're gonna review it.
So
now it's a minor. Now he's suspended.
My assumption, and this is an assumption to be clear, is they called it a major so they could review it. because I don't think the refs really knew what happened there, as shown by them not calling a penalty initially.
Well, not even
not
to
blowing
play
the
dead.
whistle.
They're not even where the puck is.
And it is mutually exclusive that either the refs got something wrong or the Department of Player Safety got something wrong. They can't both be in the right when the refs reduce it to a minor and then Makar still gets a suspension. So something got messed up along the way here, no matter what. To me, it still very much feels like they punished to the result of the play, which I find extremely frustrating, especially given, as we already talked about, how many results where the Avs have gotten injured on plays and everyone just went nothing, not a single thing. But anyway, if you want to see players get suspended or not in real time, Game Time. Head on over to Game Time to get your tickets today. You can use the DNVR code to get $20 off your purchase. You can get tickets for up to 60% off full price. If you wait, do the thing where you get tickets at the last second. It's a really good way to get a better price for tickets for playoff games, whether it be the Avs or Nuggets. So highly recommend you go check out Game Time and get yourself some fantastic tickets. There's also a link down in the description that you can use. You go there, they'll show you where your seats are. You can pick and choose which ones you want. It's a fantastic marketplace for tickets all the way around. Over 15 million people have used their tickets there. So go check out Game Time today. Use the DNVR code to get $20 rather off when you buy. Also brought to you by Illegal Pete's. If you're suspended for the day, you might as well go get yourself a delicious burrito, Cale. I'm just throwing it out there. Go get some Illegal Pete's and enjoy the day. They have amazing burritos with fresh ingredients, of course. There's 10 different locations here in Colorado, including one right down by the bar. So you can go pregame there a little bit before you come down to the bar for tonight's Nuggets game. Highly recommend. They have happy hour from 3 to 6 p.m. at Pete's. Fantastic margaritas to check out. Go over there. Have a great time. Get yourself delicious food. Why not? It's just a fun old time all the way around with Illegal Pete's. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche Podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Do we have more to say about the Cale thing, or do we want to move on?
I don't know what a bunch of people tweeted at me today about the George Peros Avs conspiracy. I don't know anything about this.
I'm not going
But
there.
after today, I am absolute sell me.
It always comes back to Anaheim.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, jokes aside, like, I don't think there's a conspiracy, but it does make you wonder, man. Like, it does make you wonder how this ended up where it did with so many other situations that we have been upset about. I think the one that has bothered me the most for the longest is the Colasar Byram thing.
Yep.
Where a guy jumps into him, smashes his head against the glass, and it causes him adverse effects for 2 full years. And Keegan Colasar has just continued on la-di-da.
Yep.
And there was never a word about it, and we just had to eat that. And I think watching some of this frustration is absolutely that this is a cursed season. That
For sure.
That I mean, since the postseason started, you had a player get hurt in warmups.
Yep.
How often does that happen?
Never.
Yeah, a player get hurt in warmups and hasn't returned.
Yep. Still out.
You had a key player. Your captain has this goofy knee injury.
It just doesn't heal.
And announces he's just done.
Yep.
You have a key player leave the team for personal reasons mid-series.
Yep.
And now you got the Dops wheel spin
Landed on one game.
for one of your most important players.
Yep.
One of your most innocent. Like we talk about the player history being factored into this. This is not Cale Makar.
This is
Cale
the
Makar has
same
the
guy.
opposite of a history.
It's the same guy who skated over to the officials and said, "That's not a
Denied
penalty.
Yeah.
Don't call that." And they went, "Oh, our bad. You're right, Cale. We trust you." Like, obviously, like, you know, that's like an endearing and like heartwarming, adorable story. But like that's why last night, in the eyes of so many of us, it was very funny that Seattle was like booing him on every puck touch, because it was like, give me a break with this.
You know anything about this
Right,
guy.
like
yeah.
if Cale Makar played for the Kraken, he would own that city.
Yep.
because he's that level of lovable. I mean, it's just, and just seeing this is just, it's incredibly frustrating. And this season just feels like they've almost won enough in spite of all this bullshit that's surrounding them. The fact that they can't catch a single break anywhere ever this year. And it just feels cursed. And I think that's also part of the catalyst of my first personal frustration today with how this has gone, is that it just never ends for this team. It's incredible. It's just been incredibly frustrating from the start of training camp when Landeskog and Helm were out, with things that lingered from the Cup final.
Yep.
And from that moment to this one, it has been
just a trudge through the mud.
Very little amount of fun along the way
Yeah.
for a team that is 2-2 in the first round of the postseason and won a division title. It is, at this point, it's almost, I'm almost in the, just let it die. Just let it die. Stop scrapping. Stop rising up out of the dead. Just let it die. This sucks.
I'm not there yet, but
I won't be tomorrow, but today I'm full. It's all cynicism and ugliness out of me. I'm exhausted.
it has been
I'm
a
exhausted.
long road for sure. But
I love hanging out with you guys.
You know,
it's the best part of the season.
they just spent the
by
whole
far.
year building up all of the bad luck, so all the good luck could happen starting tomorrow. All right, and then it's
dude.
a month and a half of.
Now I know you don't believe that. You don't believe in anything
Well, and
like that.
especially
I definitely don't.
you look at the game-winning goal. They blocked 2 shots and it ends up in the back of their net. Like,
Yep.
give me a.
Maybe it's to make things good for the plot. For the Seattle first year in the playoff story, they need them to have some games. You know, they needed to win a game at home, that kind of thing. And it happens to be an overtime game. That's not necessarily a slam dunk from Seattle in front of their home crowd either.
It's a great story for them. And honestly, like, as much as like I'm like, this is miserable and I hate everything right now. Like, it's great for Seattle. It's great to see the Kraken getting to experience that kind of success. The two wins that they've had in this series, they've earned.
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah.
And that, for me, that is undeniable that they are where they belong right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm just
This, like, just reiterate on that point,
tired, man.
Seattle has nothing to do with the refs and the Department of Player Safety getting it right or wrong.
Totally.
Like, this is not on Seattle by any stretch of the imagination. This is the NHL being incompetent as usual.
Yep.
So,
Yep. And that's where as a hockey fan you wake up tired today.
yep.
Because you don't like injuries. I've got a bunch of people in my mentions right now from Seattle who are, I guess, dunking on me. I don't know. A city without a basketball team doesn't know how to dunk, so something else. But also, I just, we're not celebrating Jared McCann's injury, and I want it to be very obvious.
We were very clear from the
that
start on that.
In no way are we down with that.
It sucks.
In no way. I just, we don't like any player getting hurt. I don't look at this as a benefit, and the people the people from Seattle that are celebrating today should do so in defense of their player and not in view of it being an advantage in the playoff series.
Yep.
The playoffs is about best on best.
Yep.
You want everybody healthy. You want everybody available because you want to prove that you belong. You want to prove what you do, that you belong advancing. And this is a tough one for me.
Same. And
For today.
Far more about the inconsistency than anything else.
Yep. I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and it'll be fight the world time. But for today, this sucks, man.
It does. And I guess we're going to move on from it because I feel like we've talked about this for a whole day at this point.
Sounds like we might be a little biased towards Makar, I guess, man. He's a top-notch human being and an elite player who got caught up in a situation that none of us feel was predatory.
I don't know. I feel like we were pretty upfront about it. Megan saying it should be a suspension. Both of us saying there's total justification for that if there was consistency behind that. It's the lack of calls that the Department of Player Safety has made up to this point.
If Dumba had been suspended last week, this would have been a no-brainer for me. I would have felt totally differently.
Like, well, here comes a suspension if Dumba got suspended.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, wouldn't have thought twice about it.
Yep.
My entire argument last night was they didn't suspend Dumba. How could they suspend Makar for this?
I'm shocked. I was so comfortable last night with the idea that it was a penalty. It was, and I'm blown away today. I'm still blown away.
I think Bednar even was comfortable. Yeah, he didn't seem to think this would lead to a suspension because of the call on the ice.
Also a valid point. Again, it's not like they already looked at it in the game and they decided it was a 2-minute minor.
Yeah.
But anyway, there are other hockey games going on. There are other playoff series going on. The West currently, including the Avs, has 3 of their 4 series tied at 2-2. Some of our predictions are looking good. Some of our predictions are looking not good.
Man, I don't care about those.
I know.
People have to understand that we make predictions because we have to.
For sure.
And we also will change them. Instead of 4 of us having a 4-2 with the same team.
Well, someone will swap theirs to a 4-1.
Or somebody will pick a different team. You try and have a variety of conversation. If we were obsessed with trying to get things right, it would look different.
I don't even want to get into this conversation.
I'm just saying.
I want to know, what is the best series going on right now?
Minnesota Dallas. No, LA Edmonton.
Yeah, I think
sorry. LA Edmonton. I immediately started thinking about the fact that there were 0 scoring chances in game 3 and 4. And realized LA Edmonton rocks.
Not that Minnesota Dallas isn't a good series.
It has been entertaining.
LA Edmonton is just wild. Megan, same?
It is. Those are all in my top 3. So
there you
the
go.
Other being Toronto and Tampa.
It is a super good series. Had Tampa not blown it the other night, it'd be right up there.
And I think I do also think that I did not see what Saravelli said about Nichushkin.
It was on a radio hit. So people are kind of like, there isn't a tweet out there that you can reference verbatim.
No official word.
Some people have transcribed it, though, I think,
I'm sure.
to get pretty close to word for word. It's speculation surrounding an alcohol-related incident involving Nichushkin on Friday. And I think that's kind of where it ends, but then people are adding their own speculation beyond that, and that's why I don't want to quote Saravelli beyond that. Unfortunately, it's stirred up a lot. This happened before the show, so
everything
I think
happens
it's fair
right before our show.
We're gonna skirt it.
Look, it's really in the modern day and age, when it comes to Twitter, it's really hard to sift through stuff like this because you have no idea what was actually said.
Yeah, and the wording of things is usually intentional and purposeful, and people twist that.
Yep.
They make an assumption and they take it. I've done it a bunch of times on accident where somebody says something and you interpret it away and you add an extra word or two that maybe changes the meaning of it, and it's very...
it's speculative.
Yep.
Yeah, and the reason that we haven't gotten into any of this is because Jesse has been up in Seattle doing actual reporting on it.
Mm-hmm.
And we, as an outlet, agreed that we aren't going to add any fuel to the fire of pure speculation. It doesn't do anything but harm the conversation. We have no interest in leading anybody down any roads that don't exist.
Yep.
So we are not having the conversation. We're not having it now. We're not going to get into it. If it comes time for details to be divulged, then the people involved will divulge those details. What we do know is that he's not with the team right now, and that when he is ready to return to the team, he will.
And those are the kind of updates as an outlet we would be willing to provide
exactly
when they come. And that's that.
Yep.
Yeah, we're not getting into any of this nonsense.
Yeah. Anyway, back into these series. Let's start with Edmonton, LA. Is LA still in this series? Because it felt like they had the opportunity to put Edmonton down in Game 4.
I mean, a 3-0 lead.
Yeah.
But then you also have a 4-3 lead. And Victor Arvidsson has a breakaway with 4.5 minutes to go in the third period.
Yep.
And you don't score on it.
And
he
then-
beats Jack Campbell, too. Like, he has him beat with the move, and he just doesn't finish.
And then a minute and a half later, it's a tie game.
Yep.
Yeah.
And for me, that is... That was it. I mean, you have moments.
Yep.
And when you have a chance like that, you usually don't get another one. You have opportunities. Every series has those moments where you can put a team away, you can build a comeback, you can do whatever. You usually don't get two shots at it.
It's a tough series for me because at times it has felt like which goalie can perform worse than the other. You watch Stuart Skinner get pulled in Game 4 after giving up 3 in the first period. Now, I don't think he was horrible in that period, but Edmonton needed a spark. And then you watch Jonas Korpisalo just give this game away for LA. Particularly the game-winning goal.
Oh, my
just
God.
so bad. And more than anything, it just doesn't give me confidence in either of these teams that they can go particularly far if they're going to get goaltending like that. So, I don't know. I don't trust either of them. I'll put it that way. I don't know who's going to win the series.
Can I respond to this, or should I let it go?
Which one?
Dan Hammer's comment. Are you
Yeah.
sure?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's up. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but it has nothing to do with our show.
Yeah, just go watch his pod.
It's a good way. Good way to respond. Megan, are you having more fun with this series than I am? Because I feel like I'm just salty about Edmonton and LA being bad.
Oh, I don't view it as bad. I feel like LA was actually better than expectation for me personally in ways. I think they've received better goaltending. I didn't think Korpisalo was that bad until the game-winning goal in overtime. That was a bad one to let in, but I actually thought he played pretty well leading up to that.
I think he's bad.
I think he's better than the goaltending situation on Edmonton's side of things.
That's fair.
And where Edmonton has let me down a little bit is they are not as well-rounded defensively as I had hoped that they would have become in this regular season leading into playoffs. I think that is where they've revealed a little bit of an Achilles heel still. But some of their offensive weapons, I'll just say it out loud. Connor McDavid hasn't had quite the pop that I expect, which scares me a little because I think it's probably coming. Their top six as a whole, though, has still been a huge threat. But then LA has been pretty well-rounded. The addition of Kevin Fiala was wonderful for them. I'm excited to see, though, what that adds to LA's lineup, too. It's still been really fun for me. I could see it going 7 games.
It's actually, like, I think almost all of the series that are 2-2, I could easily see getting to 7.
Not this one.
Not LA?
No,
Yeah, you think
not
Edmonton's
this
gonna-
one.
It's the one I would feel the best about not getting to 7, to be honest with you.
Sorry, I didn't take till tomorrow. I'm back up.
He's got it out of his system. We're done.
Off the mat. Yeah.
It is a bit interesting that you see the difference. The East looks a little bit more clear cut. The Boston series is pretty much done, I would say. Boston, Florida. The Canes Isles series could end tonight. What is it about the West that has made it so much closer? Because we talked all year about how good the East was and how it was going to be a bloodbath. And really, it's the teams in the West that are scrapping this out in round 1.
Yeah, well, and I think it's because there was less gap between the teams, where you also had teams with bigger flaws out West. You know, Vegas is scraping by a playoff series with Laurent Brossoit in net.
Yeah.
Like,
Just
if Winnipeg was a better team,
sure,
I think life would be. I do think that it would be much tougher for Vegas. Also, Mark Scheifele gets hurt.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Nick Ehlers has been hurt. Like
Still hurt.
You're talking about Cole Perfetti was supposed to be back right around the end of the regular season,
and just wasn't,
and apparently has just disappeared from the planet.
Yeah.
So, like, it's the contrast of watching Vegas catch these breaks in their round one series while the Avs go through hell is interesting.
It's
and
crazy.
frustrating.
It's crazy for sure.
But also, like, I just think that the series out west, the teams are just Dallas and Minnesota. I think Dallas had a pretty clear advantage until Joe Pavelski got hurt, and then that gap closed quite a bit
Immediately,
between the teams. Their strengths and weaknesses just matched up way closer. And then LA Edmonton was always, we talked about it in our preview series. You could love you could love Edmonton all you want.
Tough
I think
matchup,
they're really good. That one team that they drew was the one that I had the least confidence that that Edmonton would beat.
Yep.
And to this point, I think they have thoroughly outplayed the Kings on the whole. They've lost 2 games on overtime power plays.
Well, I mean, they've also lost those games on blowing leads, and
Right?
allowing
But
LA
I'm saying,
back
like,
into the game, but
they have. That series has been so dramatic in the swings
it
back
has
and forth.
been for sure.
But I do think that just that stylistic matchup, it shows you how close the teams out west really are, where that style can. You look at the stylistic contrast in Colorado and Seattle. That style can make up ground.
Yeah.
How you play the game can make up ground on who plays the game if that gap is small enough.
Yep. On that note, best way to watch the Avs and Nuggets playoff runs is to come down here to the bar. It's where all the vibes are. But the second best way is with Fubo TV. You can go over to FuboTV.com/DNVR today or use the QR code on screen to order. You get 15% off your first month of Fubo TV Pro. When you do, they have Altitude. It's the easiest way to watch the first round series for Colorado. It's the easiest way to avoid ending up watching overtime of other games while the Avs are playing the first period, though. The Avs' first periods haven't been great lately. You know what? Maybe if you're watching the game from the start of the first period, the Avs will play better. Maybe this is on you, chat, honestly. Go to FuboTV.com.
True TV's fault.
Yeah, blame True TV. Confirmed. Look, it's not just Altitude. It's also a bunch of regular television channels. They have over 140 channels, including shows, movies, all sorts of other sports as well. I highly recommend you guys check it out. The easiest part is if you have a smart TV, you download the app. It's just like watching normal TV. You turn it on with your clicker. Your TV's on. You're watching hockey or whatever it is that you want to check out. So highly recommend that you get Fubo TV while you can. Check it out today again at FuboTV.com/DNVR. Get 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro. And while you're sitting back on the couch, make sure you're cracking a brew, a Breck Brew, the official beer of DNVR. We have 8 different kinds on tap down here at the bar. Again, the best place to watch the games. But if you're not local, you can find it at your local liquor store with the Breck Beer Locator online at breckbrew.com. You can also check out all of their new merch and good stuff there. They have dozens of flavors. You can see their new release in that corner over there. Yeah, it's hard to point on a camera. I tried.
Yeah, way to make it awkward.
Sorry. At least I wasn't doing math, okay? Go check out Breck Brew today. They make fantastic beer. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche Podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. So you have the Edmonton LA series, which is, I agree with you that it's the fun series. You have the Minnesota Dallas series, which is 2 teams just murdering each other.
Yeah, which is a street brawl.
Yeah.
That's all that is.
It's a good way to put it. It's a good way to put that series.
You know in Anchorman when all the stations met up out back and had that giant fight? Yes. I guess not, but yes.
Haven't seen anyone with a trident in this game yet.
Look, probably wouldn't be suspendable either.
I do want to try and bring the vibes up a little bit. For as frustrating as this been for Colorado in these playoffs so far, for a lot of reasons of their own making, as much as anything else, I love playoff hockey.
Oh, yeah.
It's so much fun right now. Every night, getting just 8 hours of amazing hockey going on. I'll keep in mind, this is just off the top. Don't take these too seriously. Today, who wins the West?
Edmonton.
It's hard to bet against them.
It's hard to bet on them. It's hard to bet on anybody.
You're not wrong.
I just think if Edmonton beats LA, I think what they're going to do to Vegas is not going to be great.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Vegas is going to like it very much because I don't think that goaltending is going to hold up. I don't think that the way that Vegas has played against Winnipeg can continue. If they're going to get against a team that can actually make it happen. And with the uncertainty around Val's timeline,
Sure.
the Avs, I said that I thought the Landeskog was the difference between them repeating and maybe even making a deep run. If they don't have Landeskog and they don't have Val,
and Jack Johnson.
And
He does matter.
Jack
for sure.
Johnson getting hurt in warmups. What?
I
I will never get over the fact that he got hurt in warmups in the most cursed season of all time.
To be fair, I don't know how he got hurt. I'm assuming that's when he got hurt, but to be honest, I don't know.
If he got hurt before that, it's even more mysterious. To be honest,
It's mysterious.
I'll do
bigger mystery right now: Jack Johnson or Darren Helm?
Pobrecito Darren Helm.
Okay,
I think it is Helm as well. Jack Johnson, at least they're like, hey, you got a lower body injury right before the game. Darren Helm's like, yeah, he's gone. Don't worry about him. He doesn't exist anymore.
well, he shows up. He spends more time in a non-contact jersey getting ramped back up than he does playing at this point.
Yep.
And it sucks. It sucks that it's going like this for him.
Yeah. I'll do the homer thing.
I think they really miss that guy, by the way.
I think they do too. I'm going to take Colorado here because
All right.
I think if they can get through Seattle and they can get some guys back, they're going to get to that level where it's just like, we're actually invincible. Nothing actually matters. All of this terrible stuff that keeps happening to us.
I don't think
just
it
gonna
gets
win
any
anyway.
easier though, and I think that's going to take a tax.
Oh.
I think that
They're gonna be broken by the end of the year. But
I think that the emotional tax that they are paying just to get through the regular season, then the division title stuff. And now this
the
series.
thing is, like, with that emotional tax, eventually you hit the wall where you just don't care anymore, and then it sets you free. Okay.
Yeah, but it sets you free in the way that you spend 3 days in bed eating Teddy Grahams and not taking a shower and drinking orange juice straight out of the container. Not sets you free in terms of allows you to become your best self.
They will do all of that once.
That is not how that works, man.
Once they win,
it is called rock bottom, not rock top.
Look, all I'm saying is the last time they hit rock bottom, they won a bunch of games. So if Cale Makar's suspension is rock bottom in the playoffs, the Avs could do it.
All right. I am a big fan of this theory. I just don't subscribe to it.
Megan, where are you at? Who's taking the West?
My junkyard dogs, the LA Kings.
Let's go.
I don't know where this is coming from.
We're finally going to see Quentin Byfield learn how to play NHL hockey.
Yo, what is your deal with Quentin Byfield? He has been fine this year.
He's a perfectly serviceable, bottom six dude for a second overall pick.
He's playing next to Kobe.
Cool.
And he's not producing nearly enough.
That guy has disappointed me a lot. Is Kopitar. He has been not great in that series.
He's like one of their leading points producers.
Yeah, he needs to be because he's getting eaten up
They need
defensively.
more. They need more contributions offensively.
You're watching Draisaitl do whatever he wants to that team in the offensive zone.
Yeah, watching Phil Deneau take somebody away and watching Kopitar not. I'm like, I don't know what world I live in where Ajay Kopitar is bad defensively or just getting beat up defensively, not bad. But Phil Deneau is awesome, and this series is making my love of him grow.
He is awesome.
He's so good.
What? I mean, they would never trade him, but boy, would he not be a perfect fit?
You
for
know,
the
they
Avs.
could trade him if Quentin Byfield would break
Actually
it
figures
out.
it out. There you go. We need Byfield. Come on.
You have to believe in it yourself first.
I
Trudeau.
don't.
It won't happen until you believe in it.
Definitely don't believe in it.
Yeah.
I believe more in my rock bottom abs take than I do in the Quentin Byfield
I
breakout.
like that take.
The question is it the dead cat bounce or is it a real rock bottom?
Yeah, well, we'll find out one way or another.
Yeah.
We do have a couple of super chats to get to here. Well, that's quite a few. Thank you, chat. 5 from Josh, who says, watch game 2, 8:15 left in the third period. Helm gets cross-checked in the neck.
Sick.
Love
when he
that.
got hurt?
Love that there was not a hearing
Well,
for that.
Was he eligible to be checked?
Are you ever eligible to be checked in the neck?
It's not the head.
Technically.
I'm just saying. I mean,
Uh,
there's not like a thing, right? A differentiating, like we don't just include neck into headshots, do we?
I mean, in certain cases, getting hit in the neck is probably worse, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
I don't know. I give
right.
up. I give up trying to figure it out. Is that £2 or euros? I can't tell. Euros from Moro Kiana? I ruined your name. I'm sorry. Does the suspension make the Avs wake up?
So I think this is an interesting angle because I thought that the McCann thing last night could serve as a rallying cry of some sort
For Seattle, sure.
Seattle, with no Nichushkin and no Makar tomorrow. And I'm assuming on Nichushkin. We honestly just don't know what's going on.
Bednar
Could
said
pop
no.
up. Yeah,
He did? Okay. So with that being the case, I do wonder if this is a backs against the wall. We are suddenly the underdog on home ice where we haven't been very good.
Let's pop out.
Everybody's
here.
starting to doubt on us a little. We've got a lot of doubt creeping in from the outside about how good we can be. Is this the thing that wakes the sleeping giant, or is it not?
Yeah.
They could definitely succumb to the mounting pressure of it all. I also reflect on how you don't normally have a quiet game from McKinnon and keep that for very long. So I'm looking at him
It's a fair
specifically.
point. Yeah.
0 shots on goal is a rare.
He
rare
usually
thing.
follows
You
those nights with
know.
like a 9 shot
He
on
knows
goal
that.
night.
You
Yeah.
know he knows that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that Vince Dunn is going to sleep great tonight.
He knows the storm is coming.
The
Yeah.
straight not the McKinnon monster is just waiting for him.
You know, gonna find out who the real Kraken is.
Right. Only one gets to emerge 2-9.
$10 from Oliver, who says this series is over. Bring extra hats tomorrow for Nate's hat trick. Georgiev will be lights out. They'll close it out in Seattle.
I need that. You had us in the first half. Not gonna lie,
I was
man.
like, is this a Seattle? Like, are you dooming right now?
I was like, man, this is big doom energy. I'm sorry I did this to us, but I like this.
yep. It came Brown strong in the second half
Yep.
for sure. I think that's actually totally possible in this
Yeah.
series. For the record,
Agreed.
the only thing I don't think happens is that it goes 7. I think whoever wins game 5 closes it. $10 from Anthony, who says, no matter how it ends, this is the first time since 48 points that I will take a sigh of relief when it is over.
Agreed.
Off-season pods will be a nice break. With that said, winning the cup is still possible.
Agree on all fronts.
It's just been such a long year.
Yeah, the short off season really dovetailed into it and has made it very challenging.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how they feel.
They must be
We cover the team and we're
exhausted.
like, this is brutal. They've got to be just dying.
It's got to be like close to Squid Game levels with the Avs. Just people falling down left and right. They just keep marching forward.
Yep.
And then finally, $2 from Sasha, who says, win it for Cale, Val, and Landy. Let's go, Avs. There's too many names to win it for in that tweet.
And Heltman and Jack Johnson.
Right. That didn't even get them all. And then a late one from Melanie for $5 that says, thanks for your insight today. Always appreciated. We did want to talk about the Colorado Eagles, but we're out of time.
No, it's okay.
We appreciate all y'all.
No, speed run it.
You have the 1 minute Eagles breakdown, Megan.
Yeah.
Colorado Eagles swept the Ontario Reign. They will be taking on Seattle's AHL affiliate, the Coachella Valley Firebirds, tomorrow. It starts, and they, as the higher seed, Coachella, that is, opted to do the last 3 as needed games in Seattle. So Colorado gets to start this at home. Colorado plays terrific at home. I think this is a huge mistake from Coachella because it's kind of the first to win 3 in this 5-game series. And so they have the first 2 at home. Pretty compelling argument to be made that the Eagles are still very much in it. I know people have looked at how good Coachella has been this year, and they have been, but the series with Eagles Coachella this year has been pretty split among them. They've been really close games, and it's anyone's game. I think it's Colorado Eagles to lose. They had a perfect special teams in the first 2 games. I mean, you say round, but it's 2 games against the Ontario Reign. Perfect penalty kill, perfect power play scored on all 3 opportunities that they had. That's so awesome. In a lineup that is very much still jumbled. They don't have Hunt, they don't have Myers. Foodie has been day to day. And so if they get Foodie back, huge piece. They get Oscar Olausson back. He has a goal and assist in his return. Wonderful for him. Justus Annunen had terrific Calder Cup playoffs numbers last year. It's only been 2 games, looks good. He had some shaky moments at the very final moments of game 2, so it kind of skewed his numbers a bit. But he finished the regular season with his best save percentage of his career so far at the American League level. So he's trending in the right direction and was a huge piece in last year's Calder Cup playoffs. I loved something, though, about what Greg Cronin talked about in preparing for game 2. He said that the desperation that teams on the brink of elimination play with is something that he likes to try and capture in his own team's identity always. And I think that's really interesting because he talks about responding to the way that momentum shifts in a game, sometimes not in your favor, right? The team can experience low points. I think this is something the Avs are experiencing right now, and how they practice this second effort drills in practice so that they can come out and play with desperation and meet those moments of lows pretty solidly. And he talks about how the adversity they've experienced this year as a group has added a layer of mental toughness that he thinks is going to benefit them moving forward. I think it's an interesting component because there are probably similarities to derive in that can be applied to the Avalanche group. You know, have they added this layer of mental toughness that we're about to find out because there's a lot of adversity being thrown their way in losing Cale Makar. I think it'll be interesting to see, but Eagles have some things to get done with Coachella this week. It'll be a fun parent club, AHL club, both trying to defeat Seattle in this series, so definitely keep an eye out for that.
Could I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Of the guys that they brought in at the end of the year, all the college free agents, all the extra guys, has one really stood out among the others?
Sam Malinsky.
Okay.
So of the points leaders through games 1 and 2, Cedric Paré, a PTO that went successfully, Sam Malinsky, and I want to say Oscar Olausson's right up there, and that's in 1 game he had a goal and assist. So he's really translating pretty well just in his return. But Sam Malinsky, I'm excited to talk way more about. I have this sneaking feeling that a film room could also follow the Sam Malinsky piece that's to come.
A sneaking suspicion.
I'm not volunteering anyone for that, but it would be a worthwhile pursuit.
I think I just got volunteered to do a Sam Malinsky film room. Okay.
Because
she wasn't volunteering, she was voluntelling.
Voluntelling.
Yeah, no kidding. That was very subtle how that just happened.
JoJo's been terrific too. I liked that they went with Justus for games 1 and 2 as a trust that he's the true starter, but it has been more shared starts between Annunen and Johansson than last year with Annunen and Miska. And they've been one of the best goaltender tandems in the American League together. So they have pretty solid goaltending that I think is going to be another interesting piece that they maybe didn't have the benefit of last year.
All right. Well, you know they're the Avs affiliate because they're all injured. A late one for Ben King, $2. It says Cale appeals for at least for clarification. I mean, appeal won't matter for a 1-game suspension. He'll still just have to serve the thing. Anyway,
you should appeal.
We've run over time here. We got to wrap it up. We appreciate all of y'all hanging out with us on this off day. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow for all of your Game 5 coverage, pregame, watch-along, postgame. Tonight, go enjoy the Nuggets trying to close out their series.
I'll be at the bar tonight for that.
There you go. Go vibe. Go have a vibe with AJ at the bar. We'll talk to you later.